Ferguson. Valbert skorar! Valbert Gunnarsson hefur skorað. Ragnar Bergjesson og skoðamark! Glæsilega! Óskar Rafn á móti Bjarna. Og Bjarni með góða sendingu fyrir og Haraldur Ingólfsson!
Hello and welcome back to the best pod ever.
Ever?
I am Ragnar, and as you can hear, I am joined, as almost always, by...
Tryggvi. It's good to be back.
Great to be back, some might say, although I wouldn't know, because I've been here the whole time. A lot happened while you were away, I guess. I don't know. Did a lot happen? You listened to the episode.
Yeah, no, it was I don't remember. It was a long time ago, but I did listen.
Was there any crazy talking points from there? Valur Fram was a big one, right? Wait, that hadn't happened when I talked.
No.
Oh my God. There's plenty to talk about. No, not a lot of craziness happened. Coward lost, etc. But let's dive right in. I spoiled it. Valur Fram. The round 15 game, because I discussed it last time, I think. Fram's weird delay issues, extraordinaire, meant that Valur Fram was played on Sunday, the 28th of July. And what a result.
I watched the game, and it was just one of those games that you sort of always expected Valur to come back and, maybe mount a comeback, and it just never happened. Yeah, Valur had 71% of the ball in 28 shots, but...
1 in 28 conversion is dreadful.
It's not great, no. Arnar, after the game, said that, they could have kept playing for a very long time, and they probably wouldn't have scored another one. They did score one goal, and pretty nice goal by Patrick Pedersen, but I don't think there was another one coming. But Fram just scored from every attack they had, which is a better way of doing it.
Absolutely. It's not really the Fram that we've come to know and discuss. Yes, in the sense that they were solid at the back, which they relatively consistently have been, but they've been the sort of team to grind out 1-0s, not a huge goal-scoring side, but just shutting the door and doing the job. But I guess when push came to shove, when the chips were down, the tough got going.
Yeah. Yeah, they have 24 goals, so do the quick math. How much percentage of their season's goals came from this game?
24, 1/6.
Yeah. And they played more than 6 games as far as I'm aware.
One might say.
So yeah, no, so there was a lot more goals, but like I said, they didn't have... It's not like they were peppering the goal at the other end either, so, they were just really prolific with their finishing. The first goal was a bit of a maybe lucky one, I think, and then there was penalty and things like that. So in a way that they probably outscored their XG in that sense. But no, they took full advantage of their chances. And I don't know. Let's see if this is a start of something new. They have a new striker now. We guess we'll get to that later, I guess.
I guess.
Or we can get to it now. So we're recording this before the Fylkir Fram game tonight, on Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
So they signed a Dutch striker called Gennaro Daniels. This is confirmed today. And in theory, he might at least be in the squad tonight. So we'll see. Maybe by the time this episode comes out, he will have scored a hat-trick or something, and people will know a lot more than we do right now. Yeah. They needed some reinforcements at the front. So to your original question, a little bit atypical of Fram, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe they can, I don't know, play like this going forward? Is this what you expected more from? Or what did you expect from Runar when he took over Fram? What kind of football did you think you would make him play?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd expected this sort of football when Coward was winning league titles, which seems a long time ago. It was sort of branded as boring football by a lot of people, but it was just very effective football. It was exactly this sort of, maybe not exactly this sort of game where they were completely dominated, in the statistic wise, but games where they were just very effective and they scored from the chances they got while being very solid at the back. So that was Coward at its best. So yeah, he's turning Fram already into that sort of side with significantly fewer resources. So it's so yeah. I mean, if he stays and gets some money or some time to add some players in the winter, and then it'll be super exciting to see what they can do next year.
Absolutely. I have to become a Fram fan. I joke. There was another big goal scoring game. This wasn't the only one. One might even say that there were more goals in that game, if one does the quick math. Vikingur 5, HK 1, but maybe a little bit more expected this time around compared to Fram Valur.
If Valur was Vikingur, this this would have been yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, Vikingur had the statistics of Valur in that game. They had all the shots, they had the ball. Apart from maybe 10-15 minutes in the first half where HK mounted a bit of a comeback. But then two quick goals, I think, towards the end of the first half just killed HK off. And then the second half, I mean, it could have gotten really ugly for HK. Only 5-1 to Vikingur.
Only.
But I mean, it's the first win since the 30th of June in all competitions. So it's
a slump, I guess. But to their credit, they've only played one game in July, other than this.
Yeah, I mean, in the league, yeah, they've had Europe in the meantime, where it's maybe not gone so well. At the time of recording, this is before their second leg in Albania, so let's see if they can turn it around.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of turning it around, IA, ever since we started talking them up, have sort of first we talked them down, and then they turned it around and started playing very well, and then we started talking them up. And then ever since then, I don't know, it's been going worse. And they continued that streak by losing to Stjarnan 3-1 at home, nonetheless.
Yeah, this was a very strange game. I watched it but everything while I was reading live updates, and then after the game I was reading reports. Everyone kept saying this was a super convincing win by Stjarnan, well deserved, and were terrible. But Stjarnan, they won the game 3-1. If we didn't say that, they definitely had chances. They had periods where they were quite good, but I think IA threw this game away very hard. They were 1-0 up at halftime, and then they had so many chances. I still haven't. I don't think I've seen the XG for this game, but
so I just looked it up on footystats.org. And IA's XG was 1.87 and Stjarnan's 2.58.
Yeah, I don't believe that for 1 second. I don't know. There were so many chances, and it's not even that the Stjarnan keeper made. I mean, he was good and he made some nice saves, but there wasn't anything insane save. But there were so many times when the IA attack had just a header straight at the quick keeper, or point blank chance. I don't know. They were especially the first 20 minutes in the second half. I think IA was just completely dominating, and I think they should have scored 2 or 3 goals. But I don't know. Maybe I was just watching the wrong game or something. I don't know. Maybe I was. But
a rerun of an old game.
Yeah, that's the game I watched at least. And then Stjarnan equalized through this long effort. This sort of stuff they've been trying all game. They hadn't really. I don't know. It wasn't like they were playing bad. It was just there was a one period. A period of 2 minutes where I thought it summed up the game up until that point quite well. Stjarnan played, these really nice football, played it out from the back through the IA pressure, and then once they got within 20 meters of the IA goal, they just sort of made an aimless pass to nothing into goal kick, and then IA within 3 passes from the goal kick were on the wing doing a dangerous cross, which I think Victor just missed. And that was sort of the game that I was seeing. Stjarnan had a lot of the ball, but weren't really doing anything with it. And IA were the dangerous ones, but not really converting. And then Stjarnan made sort of a speculative effort that, I don't know, I need to see another angle. I don't know if it was deflected by a lot or something, but I think Arne, I don't understand from that angle that I saw how Arne didn't save that. And then the game just completely changed, and IA lost the confidence, and Stjarnan scored. I think the second goal was Örvar, which was a really nice goal, and then the third goal was from the new guy whose name is Jon Rapp. So yeah, weird game. I think he should be very disappointed about that game not to have won. But Stjarnan, heavily rotated. They made 7 changes to the starting lineup because they're off to Estonia tomorrow, or I guess they're already there, but they're playing in Estonia tomorrow. So EA's perspective, super disappointing. From Stjarnan, really, really impressive.
This really opens up this battle for the top half of the split again, with Fram winning their game, and then Stjarnan beating IA. This puts them all in this 2-point range. IA on 24, Stjarnan on 23, Fram on 22, with a game in hand. It's still anyone's spot to lose, really, because, 2 of those 3 are staying up. Right? And doesn't seem like FH is going to be the ones dropping below at this point.
No, not right now.
So who do we fancy for not making the top half?
From the momentum, maybe even IA. It sounds super harsh, but it depends a lot on how the game tonight goes. If Fram can get a third win on the bounce, that's them really in momentum and really have them the momentum with them, and they'll pull above IA. But it's hard to say with Stjarnan as well. Like they have a lot of injuries now. If they can get through this round of Europe, they're going to go into obviously another round of Europe. That's how Europe works. Yeah, Jörgut was saying how happy he was with the squad. A lot of rotations, like I said, against IA. So he was happy with the players coming in, but they can't last like that forever. So, but maybe they can do it just long enough for the split. But yeah, right now maybe IA.
But we all know that as soon as we start talking badly about IA, they're gonna kick into gear. So, good luck, boys. But speaking of FH, they pulled out a relatively expected victory against Vestri in Ísafjörður. This 2-0 victory there, which I find it a little bit upsetting, sad. I wish the best for Vestri, I really do.
Yeah, they're struggling a little bit. The first half was better from them, but yeah, just not good enough to get through this FH special. Sitting back, being awake at the back, the goalkeeper, doing what he has to, and then just winning it in with set pieces towards the end of the game is a very FH specific kind of game. And Vestri just not quite good enough to withstand that.
It's looking a little bit dangerous for Vestri. I was going to ask you whether you thought they'd be able to keep themselves up. Then I thought I'd look at their upcoming games to see, because they are but 2 points behind HK. And but 3 points behind KR, and we'll get to that. But Vestri's games coming up before the split are IA, Víkingur, KR, Valur, Fylkir, and then finally Stjarnan. It's not a great run of games.
No, it doesn't get much harder than that, I guess.
No, they get a free 3 points against KR, and then and then the rest of it is going to be extremely difficult. It depends on which version of Stjarnan rocks up. It depends on which version of Fylkir shows up as well.
Yeah.
But it's looking very difficult for them. And then HK, their sort of main competitors in this, they have KR, they have Valur as well, they have Fylkir as well, they have Stjarnan as well, they have Fram, and they finally have Breiðablik. So pretty difficult there as well. Very similar sort of runs. So who do we back here?
Yeah, I think the transfer market will say a little bit about that. Neither Fylkir nor Vestri have done anything so far. both teams have lost sort of, not bit part players, but players who maybe haven't played that much so far. Toby King left Vestre, and Unnarsted left Fylkir, who's struggled with injuries, so he hasn't played that much. Both teams said they want to get someone. So I mean, if they bring in someone influential, if they bring in a striker or something to really boost their team, that could be the same with Haukau. Haukau just signed a goalkeeper, Danish goalkeeper called Christopher Peterson. I think it's these very small margins that are going to mean something. So if Vestre and Fylkir don't make any moves, I have a bit more faith in Fylkir right now than Vestre and Haukau. I'm just not really sure about what to see how this keeper is. But yeah, I think a lot will come down to the transfer market next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. It'll come down to that, and then potentially this Vestre Fylkir game on match day 21 is a bit of a Champions League final. I'm sorry.
But it's just, it's very weird, this home form they've had, because they just really struggled. They have the only team with the worst home form this season is Kauer.
Yeah.
I think they've 1 point since they got to play again in Isafjörður. It's very strange, because that should have been their strength. That should have been like the fortress. It just hasn't turned out that way at all.
No, I mean,
so they need to turn that around very quickly.
Maybe if they'd had the opportunity to play there since the beginning, it would be slightly different, right?
Mm. Yeah, that's true.
But we have discussed this already, that perhaps the league starts too soon.
Right.
Something needs to be done here. But moving on, we mentioned them already. Kauer 2, Kawa 2, home at Kauer. I mean, this is the first game in 3 where they pick up any points. The 2 games before that were draws.
I mean, they haven't won under Palme, right?
I mean, they're just looking like a steaming...
There was an interview with Aronsig after the game, and he was so angry with the team and with himself. Even though, Kasukawa drew 2-2. They both drew 2-2, I guess. Kauer equalized at the last second through Finnur Thomas. So you would have thought there would have been a little bit of relief or something, but Aron was just fuming after that performance, and because it was a pretty good performance in the first half. They had a lot of chances. Benoni scored again for the first time in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Aron had some chances. Benoni had some chances as well. So it was looking pretty good. And if you look at the statistics from the first half, they had 9 shots, 4 on target, compared to 1 and 0 from Kawa. It was looking very good. 7 corners for Kawa versus 1 from Kawa. But then you look at the second half statistics, then all of a sudden Kawa had 12 shots, although it's only 3 on target, but they scored 2. So Kawa just completely took over in the second half, which has happened so many times for Kawa this season. Yeah, it's hard to know exactly what it is, why they're so bad in the second half, usually. I
mean, teams being terrible in the second half, you usually think about fitness.
Yeah, I mean, we just discussed it a few weeks back, right? Is it fitness? Is it tactical?
Mm-hmm.
Before the season, with Greg, people were talking about Coward being the fittest team in the league. So yeah, I don't know. I think we'll have to wait for the post-mortem a little bit this season to see exactly what it is. If it was the fitness, if it's a training, or if it's it's really hard to know what exactly is going wrong with these players, why they can't defend in the second half of any game.
No, and I mean, they're looking now like genuine. I mean, they're looking like relegation contenders here.
Mm.
I mean, they're only 3 points off 11th. It's not.
Yeah.
This is no longer funny if you're Coed. And the upcoming games are Haukau, FH, Vestre, Víkingur, Ía, Valur.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about it a few weeks ago where we counted how many points we thought we would have, and we said 7. They have from that starting point. They have 1 now, so yeah, we're counting on 6 more points.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle to see where they're going to come from. Maybe against, let's say they beat Haukau. They're never beating FH.
Oh, no.
Let's say they beat Vestre. Yeah, They're never beating Vikingur or Valur or ER. So yeah, maybe 6 points. Like 6 points is the optimist here.
Yeah, no, it is. And then I guess the hope is that they can, get some points after the split. But I mean, like many have talked about, and like we've talked about so many times. I mean, their home form is atrocious. They have 4 points in this season at home, 0 wins. There's 3 teams in the entire country of Iceland that have not won at home so far this season. It's KR and then Reynir Sandgerði and Hvíti Riddarinn in the 2nd and 3rd division respectively.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a thing. And in the women's side, there's only 1 team, Smári, in the 2nd division. So this is an anomaly to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if they get 3 home games in the split, they're in trouble.
Yeah,
they have to hope that they can get 2 home games and 3 away.
Absolutely. Dreadful state of affairs, and they need to take a long, hard look in the mirror. But I mean, pretty good for Kawa getting the draw. I guess maybe disappointing there, but their run of form has been pretty decent. They're on 19 points now after 16 games. And they've picked up 11 points in their last 5 games. Yeah, no, they really managed to pick it up. I mean, I think the cup form helped a lot. It got their confidence back. Hallgrímur Mar coming back has been huge. He's just like, the way he plays for this team is insane. And then you have Daniel Hafstein playing, really well. He had a really, really good game this against KR as well. And then you had Valur scoring his first goal this season, which is insane to say. End of July, that Valur Kjartason, who was supposed to be, people were talking about that he would, just rip this league apart and then be sold in the summer because, he was way too good for this league and he just scored his first. But I mean, if this means that he's now on and starting to score, then the other teams are in trouble. Absolutely. I mean, they look like a completely different team. It's more dramatic than that. I said 11 in the last 5. It's actually 14 in the last 6. Which is almost all of their points. So in the first 10 games, they picked up, 5 points. And then they go on a run of 6 games where they just, quadruple that total. So maybe they're aiming for the top half.
Yeah, I mean, this draw will not help. I think if they'd won, they would have been much closer to it. This draw isn't, not going to help, especially if Fram win tonight. Mm-hmm. They're going to be 4 points behind Stjarnan.
Yeah,
doable, but yeah, maybe a bit too late. But they also have to take a hard look at themselves. I mean, especially if they make it to the top half and then 5th or 6th, then why did it take them that long? Again, Hallgrímur was injured. He was sick. So that's something you can't account for. But that's one person. Yeah, you shouldn't. A team like Kawa, with the team they have, they shouldn't be that dependent on him. But so that's something they really need to look at as well.
So the final game did not happen. Valur Breiðablik postponed because of Europe, obviously, which is the perfect segue for us to start talking about Europe. Not great overall for Iceland, but I mean not terrible, right? Stjarnan winning against a team with a lot of letters in their name. By the Linameskond from Estonia, which represented the only Icelandic win in this Conference League second round qualifiers, first leg.
Yeah.
Valur drawing against St. Mirren 0-0. And then the other two of our teams, Víkingur and Breiðablik, losing 1-0 to Egnatia and 2-1 to Drita, respectively.
Yeah, and then we had the first of the second legs. Breiðablik actually played yesterday, on Tuesday. And they are now out. So they lost 1-0 to Drita away in Kosovo. Mm-hmm. Very disappointing, I think, from them. Make it to the group stages, the first Icelandic team to make it to the group stages last year, and then now. Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't, like we talked about before this tournament started, we shouldn't fall in the trap of like, oh, they should beat a team from Kosovo. We have no idea what teams from Kosovo are like. From these two games, this was not a, Breiðablik maybe feel hard done by it. They wanted a penalty in the second leg. They had some chances in the first leg, but to be honest, I think Tritek deserved to go through. Yeah, and then Viking could really have to turn things around. And yeah, there's a pretty decent chance that we're not going to be left with too many teams come Friday morning.
No, maybe also because, Valur are now heading out to Scotland to play against St. Mirren, which is going to be difficult in the first place, and no Gylfi.
No Gylfi. And then we knew that already today or yesterday afternoon. There's some talk that this is a little bit silly to leak that so soon. I guess people are used to, teams not really caring about Icelandic team news, but I think Gylfi is on a bit of a different level. I think you should make teams afraid of him as long as you can.
Yeah, definitely.
But it'll be hard. And then Aronio was sent off in the first leg, sorry. So without him as well. So it's going to be super tough against the biggest name, at least, of this round. Whether that the toughest team is, we'll see. But the biggest name.
So how many? What do you predict for number of Icelandic teams going through? Just one? You think Stjarnan's going to make it, or do you think perhaps 0, or do you think perhaps 2 or 3?
I really hope Viking can turn it around. I don't know. Maybe Valur are saving all their powder for Europe. They look dreadful. Like we talked about, they didn't look good against Fram. They had the ball and they made shots, but they did not look good. They looked defeated. They looked tired. They looked disinterested. If they're going to turn up like that against St. Mirren, yeah, I don't have that much faith in them. But maybe they're saving everything for Europe. We'll see. Maybe a completely different team. They were incredible in the first round, second leg, and the comeback. So, but that Gylfi was a huge part of that. So we'll see. I think Stjarnan will go through. I think the way they're playing is just, they're hitting form right at the right time. Emil Atla is just fantastic. Europe Emil or Europe Emil is just playing really well. They have injuries, so that's maybe their biggest question mark. And then Viking good. Yeah, they have some injuries as well now. Mattias Williamson is out. Nikolai Hansen is out. So
It's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, it's gonna be super tough. I think maybe only one team goes through here.
Yeah, only Stjarnan.
Yeah,
seems a distinct possibility. Speaking of injuries, though, injuries are, I guess, sort of related to transfer news. So transfer news. We've mentioned some of these before. We mentioned Hauka's finding a keeper, Christopher Peterson. We've mentioned Fram's new striker, Gennario Daniels. We mentioned Toby King leaving Vestri, but there's plenty more to mention.
Yeah, there's not been too many moves finalized, but there's a lot of stories. Yeah, one mention, sort of half mention we made was Jón Rapp moved to Stjarnan from Leiknir, and yeah, scored in his first game. So that's quite good. So they're bringing in players and making an impact. So that's great timing because they have injuries. Maybe the least making waves kind of moves were the FH and Valur made their two respective loans permanent. Hörður Ingi, who was loaned from FH to Valur, is now officially signed a permanent deal with Valur, and Bjarni Guðjón, who made the opposite move, has signed a permanent deal with FH. More FH, there was a big rumor that they were very close to signing Patrick Johannesson from Breiðablik. That seemed almost done before the weekend, but then that seems to be off now, at least for the time being. Valur have inquired about Logi Hrafn, one of their star defenders, whose contract is running out at the end of the season. FH would ideally like to sell abroad with some sort of sell-on clause. Maybe there's whether he gets sold now in the summer now, it would be a huge blood loss for FH, but by far the better move for them, I guess, financially. Another move is Haukur Andri, Hákon Arnar's brother, who plays at Lille. So they're both contracted to Lille in France. But Haukur Andri, the younger brother, has moved to IA on loan. He signed a contract extension with Lille and moved to IA on loan for a whole year. So that'll be quite a good signing, I think, for IA. He was really impressive with IA before he moved to France. So it'll be really exciting to see him back in Iceland. He's a very, very exciting young player. And then we can talk quickly about Sami Kamil. An update, no move yet, but there's more talk. I think you spoke about last week that Kawa made a bid for him that was rejected. Iya has now apparently joined the hunt of Sami. But yeah, a big transfer valuation from Keflavik on him, 5 million Icelandic kroner, that we'll see if anyone wants to pay. But I guess they don't want to lose him because they're in the playoff places in the first division, so losing him would be a huge blow. So I guess they'd rather lose him in the winter if they have to lose him at all.
I mean, yeah, it makes perfect sense, but you would love to see him back in the league.
Yeah, like you said, me and Joe are huge fans of him. He's I don't understand how nobody picked him up in the winter. So yeah, he needs to be back in the Besta. Great player. And then we can maybe quickly run through. There's been a lot of stories about Kavir. The only sort of semi-confirmed, I don't know if it's been like officially confirmed as much as anything gets officially confirmed in Iceland, but Gyrðir Hrafn and Áspjörn have apparently signed contracts with Kavir for when theirs runs out at the end of the season, so they will reportedly join them at the end of the season. Kavir are looking openly at bringing them in now in the summer. FA are not keen on that, and that their sort of sporting director has said that they ideally do not want that to happen. So we'll see if there's that and it has any legs. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stories around them that Óskar Hrafn will take over after the season, and he's already brought in Alexander Helgi, like you spoke about last week. He's sort of signed a contract with him. Apparently signed these 2 contracts with these FL players, and then there's a lot of talk about bringing home players, some homegrown players, Kavir players. So
surely there's a lot of pressure there to make something happen, but that pressure has not served them well in the past. So let's see how that goes. Relevant to that, the listener question for last week was whether Kavir will manage to stay up this season. And about 2/3 of people said that they would stay up, whereas 1/3 said they would get relegated. I mean, fair, but God, 1/3 of people saying that Kavir would get relegated is not something we would have expected at the start of the season. But on a more positive note, the players of the round, 3 stars.
We have to give one to Már Ægisson from Fram. Played really, really well against Valur. There's players like Fredji, could have easily been mentioned. Ólafur Ísholm as well had a really good game. But we like to rotate these things around a little bit. And Már definitely earned it. He had a goal, the first goal. He had an assist, and he earned the penalty, and was just a general nuisance up top. It had a really difficult role where Valur had a lot of the ball, but he had to be on and ready for when Fram got the ball. The 3 times they got the ball. And he really was a huge reason why they were so prolific up top.
Absolutely. Agreed. Second star is going to go to Ólafur Guðmunds at FH for sort of putting the brakes on Vestri in the first half when they were looking like they were a little bit more of a threat, and then scoring the first goal to help FH get this win that, I mean, I guess we expected them to get, but someone's got to earn it, and he did help them earn it.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think the third star, I think we should give to Örvar gets Stjarnan. He scored a really good goal, this Stjarnan's second goal, and but in general was just a big influence on, like I said, it was a weird game, maybe not Stjarnan's best, but it was a really heavily rotated, they had some new players coming in, very young, rotated defense, and he was the one that really helped to settle the team and shepherd them to a huge away win. So, yeah, really good performance by him.
Yes, sir. If we look ahead, like we do on occasion, to the games coming up, obviously there's Fylki Fram, which is happening as of time of recording in a couple of hours. Really expecting Fram to keep their momentum there. But you never know. Fylki, we've discussed this in the past. They can be a little bit random. So let's see how that goes. But other than that, the next round is on the 6th and 7th of August, one of which is the best of days, for it is my birthday. Coward, however, are not playing on my birthday, so I guess they will not be giving me a present. But the game's coming up. FH Vikingur. I mean, that's a big old game. At this point, see if Vikingur can keep doing what they do, or if FH, pull out another performance like the one from this round, where they're solid at the back and punishing up front. So that's one to watch. We have KA Valur, where that's KA's chance now to really show whether they're on a roll or not. And this is probably the perfect time to play Valur if you're KA.
Yeah, I think so. Even if Valur win tomorrow, I think they are clearly distracted.
Yeah, and I mean, perhaps especially if they win, because that would have, I don't know, will that mean they fought extra hard and are extra tired?
Yeah.
Or maybe even a little bit complacent. But a great time for KA to be playing Valur if they ever had to be playing them. Fram Stjarnan, big old game there in the middle of the table. This is really, it's going to solidify or help solidify for these teams for the winner in terms of staying up, unless they draw. Breiðablik Fylkir, we didn't discuss Breiðablik at all this episode because they didn't play. But this is a game that Breiðablik really needs to win if they want to stay in the race there with Vikingur at this point. Otherwise, they really start falling behind.
Valur don't seem to want to catch Vikingur. Breiðablik have a chance to, so let's see if they're equally as disinterested. I mean, they're out of Europe now, so they have no excuse to not focus on the league now.
Absolutely. Then we have Vestri against IA. Vestri really would like to start getting some points at home properly. But likewise, IA are really needing to gather the points to try to make the top half of the split. So, but given IA's form, like we were saying, it's entirely possible that Vestri pulls out a little magic trick there. And then we have HK KR, which is a game of football that will be happening.
Yeah. I mean, there's a chance some of these games get moved due to Europe. There's a big holiday coming up in Iceland, Bestadeildin, which usually, or I don't think ever, teams play on that weekend. That's which is why the games are happening in sort of midweek. But they've said now that if we get some teams in the third round, there might be some games on that weekend. We'll keep you updated.
Absolutely. But until then, until that fabled update, enjoy the football. Thank you for listening. By the way, I realized we don't do this enough, but perhaps we should plug @Bestaenglish on Twitter, also known as X for some reason, still, which is insane. The Instagram handle is also Bestaenglish, @Bestaenglish, one might say. So check those out. The Twitter, or X again. There's plenty of polls, etc., usually to take part in, and discussion, etc. And let us know your thoughts. And then don't forget to vote in the question of the week if you are listening on Spotify. That's all, folks. Thank you, and goodbye.
Plus.